So we have Deepapriya with us. Deepapriya, you're a senior psychologist at Amaha. Lovely to have you here. We are actually here to talk about the experience of grief. How do people actually experience grief and what does that really look like?
Most often people do look at grief from the lens of death. It's either you've lost a loved one, be it a parent, be it a grandparent or a pet, but grief can also crop up to seemingly smaller things like, say, loss of a job or loss of an idea of a perfect relationship. And all of this also brings about the same kind of loneliness and isolation that, say, death also brings in. It's different degrees, but grief is present in all of these experiences. And different people experience it in different ways.
Now that you actually mention about grief, it can be anything, right? I wanted to understand, how does grief manifest in an individual? Is it in the form of a depressive episode or anxiety or something more intense?
Like we said, all of us experience it, right? So it's a very normal experience. Given that it is so normal and so common, different people experience it in different ways. It can manifest as, say, you might shut down completely, right? And not want to talk to anyone. Versus I might go on a binge eating spree or like engage in substances to numb myself to things. It can range from not wanting to engage, disengaging, to it can be complete shutdown or hyperactivity that also can come in, right? The symptoms can range even in your sleep and your appetite, the symptoms can change. Some people can eat a lot, some people won't eat at all, some people will sleep a lot, some people won't sleep at all. And in extreme cases, grief can actually act as a trigger which opens up other disorders, right? Like for example, if someone has just lost a job or been laid off, in the next job when they are working, even slight comment from the boss would bring in, like, say, a degree of paranoia, saying, oh, is this going to happen to me again? That is also from the same grief of, I did everything right, I got laid off, and now it's sitting with you and it's coming up as paranoia. Right. So it's a range of emotion that does crop up in grief.
Does grief stay with you forever or does it actually end?
Grief is loss of something that's very important to you. It's very dear to you. It's only coming up because the thing that you valued is no longer there with you, right? So it's a very big weight. It comes and goes in waves. So it just is that you tend to grow with the grief. So the weight that you're carrying that seems like a massive weight on you right now becomes a little more manageable. It does stay with you forever, but you grow with it. And as a result of which, it becomes like part of your memory. For example, if, say, someone has lost their partner, previously memorable days like birthdays and anniversaries which were cherished and which were enjoyed, now will bring in a wave of sadness. It doesn't matter how long it has been since the person has passed, because you've lost that person, it does come up. And there is no shortcut. We unfortunately have to go through the motion, and there are going to be good days and there are going to be bad days, right? There's actually an analogy that's used, which is the ball in the box. What it says is, imagine a box, right? And grief is a ball. Grief is this much, the box is here. You put the ball inside this. Now, there's not a lot of room, the ball can't move. Yeah. But as and when you start doing things for yourself, you're doing things that gives you a lot of support, you're reaching out, you're not isolating yourself, the box size kind of becomes bigger. And the ball is still the same, but you can move around, and gradually it becomes smaller and smaller. The pain is there, but it's not that dark, it's not all consuming.
Grieving looks different on everybody. Some people learn to cope with it, some people tend to dismiss it, right? When you're in the middle of, when you're in the thick of that experience, what does really stop people from reaching out for help?
There are stages of grief that's there. The first one is the shock of it, like, how did this even happen? Can it even happen for me? Then comes denial. Of course it can't happen for me. The more we stay in that particular stage, it becomes like I need to cope with it. I can't think about it. I can't do that. Let's compartmentalize it. Let's normalize it by saying everyone goes through it. Let's not think about it. As a result of which, you would also stop talking about personal experiences that you had with a person, right? Like you would stop engaging with things. And this kind of restricts your life in general. So the ball, going back to it, is the same size, but your box is not growing. So one of the things that stops us is toughen up attitude, right? We are not going with let's experience it, let's feel it, let's make room for it. Of course, it is going to be a lot, and initially it is crippling. And which is why it is important for you to reach out to, say, your loved ones in the capacity that you would want, even if it is just say, let's have a cup of chai. I don't want to talk right now, but I'm still in front of you, right? The second thing that stops people from actually grieving is the fear of what if I grieve? Then there's a guilt associated with it, right? Like, I'm done grieving, then what? The value that thing or that person had in my life, that goes away. Am I ready to let go of that? The idea of me not missing something itself is scary. As a result of which we try to protect that idea, and it becomes a part of our identity then, right? And the third thing that actually stops is the volume of work that we think we need to do in one stretch. It's like I need to start and finish. There needs to be an end date to grieve, and I need to win it. And all of this kind of pulls the person back by saying, no, I can't do this right now.
So navigating grief is such a personal journey, and there isn't a manual or a textbook that tells you how to cope with it. I also feel it's important to understand, how does unresolved grief show up?
Unresolved grief kind of shows up in you not engaging with things. As a result of which, you're not engaging with certain parts of your life. You're not leading a very full life. And sometimes it can also trigger other diagnoses, right? Like in extreme cases, even symptoms of psychosis can get triggered. It is important for us to make room for grief and process it so that all of that does not spill up. And not all of us can deal with it by ourselves. Maybe there is no room for you to process it. Maybe there is no support system out there for you to go talk about it. Or everyone is grieving simultaneously, as a result of which you don't feel like you want to occupy space. This is where accessing therapy could help, wherein the therapist is equipped to sit with you through your grief and process it without rushing through, without like saying, okay, move on. The next step is for you to reach XYZ target. We at Amaha have created an ecosystem of mental health professionals, from psychologists to psychiatrists, who can help you in this particular journey. So with evidence-based therapeutic approach, what it gives the client is a systematized, stepwise plan which gives them a degree of control, which is the first thing that goes away in grief, right? Be it taking techniques from cognitive behavioral therapy or techniques from acceptance committal therapy. For someone else, mindfulness might work, or for someone, creative and expressive arts might work. Given that different people experience it differently, one size does not necessarily fit everyone. So using a team of professionals who are trained in different approaches gives you that agency to choose which approach works for you. And what we need to be mindful of is that it's not a one-step solution, right? As a result of which, we need to create that room for people to experience change at a pace that is comfortable for them. Grief is an ever-evolving process. It never quite leaves you completely. But with right support and a therapist that you trust, with an approach that works for you, the entire journey can be a lot easier for you.